The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question for the United States is what's in our national interest.
My name is John, and the International Criminal Court is now in session. It is June 13, 2024, and yes, we gotta do this again. The Pro-Ukraine Accounts Tier List 2024 edition. There are some new people that I have discovered who just absolutely make me want to pull my hair out and become bald. And also, there have been people who have been just spreading absolute lies and disinformation without any sort of shame whatsoever. But, on the plus side, there are some people on this tier list who have improved, like, drastically in the last 1 to 2 years. Like, they have come to their senses and have been reporting nothing but the truth on the ground. And that is good. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, to first start off, Ilya Ponomarenko. This guy used to work for the Kiev Independent, but he quit after 2023. I don't know why. Apparently, he now works for USA Today. I'm still going to put him in the Fed tier because, I mean, let's be honest. Kiev Independent is obviously paid off by, I guess, Ukrainian government for their work. I mean, this is a no-doubter, like easy Fed tier, addition. Next up, we got Vicegrad24. Easy. Fed tier as well. They have not changed their tactics. They're still spreading fake news and lies, as they always have been for the past 2 years. They've never changed. Andrew Perpetua. This guy continues to trash talk pro-RU accounts on X/Twitter. And for some weird, dumb reason, Syriac maps. He even said that he was going to expose the guy on multiple occasions, but he never came to do it because what does Syriac actually have done? Wrong. And here's the thing, even when he makes mistakes, he ends up correcting those said mistakes. And for those reasons alone, I'm putting him in annoying tier. I could have put him in grifter tier, but I just don't think he's even good enough for that ranking anymore. Live UA map. You know, I'm kind of conflicted about this one. I originally used to believe that they were feds, but it's clear as of late, especially as a result of the deterioration of their site, Live UA map, that I feel like nowadays they're just grifters. I mean, they even charge you, some cash in order to access, old history of, the conflicts in Ukraine and in the Syrian Civil War, too. Complete ripoff. Next, we got the Polish founder of NAFO. I don't really have anything to say about this guy. He is a complete basement dweller. He's a neo-Nazi, and even despite the excuses he's made for the actions he's done, Kama Camellia, that's who he is on Twitter and X, by the way. He's a disgusting human being, and it's a huge shame that the NAFO guys continue to look up to him. I literally just don't understand NAFO. I literally just don't. It is so fucking cringe. It's so cringe. Official NAFO account. Easy NAFO tier. Cringe. I mean, there's nothing really to say about NAFO accounts. In fact, I'll just skip all the way to basically, this symbolizes every NAFO account here, so I'm just going to put the cartoon dog here as a way of basically representing on behalf of all NAFO accounts on Twitter and X. These people are just cringe. Who think they're funny, but they're not. None of their memes make me laugh. They don't make you laugh. Who are these memes supposed to appeal to? Old geezers who grew up during the Cold War, like Gen X and the Boomer generation? Really? Most millennials and Gen Z are not into this crap. They know it's cringe. So why do all these old people think they're any better than the pro-RU people and their memes? I don't know. Maybe it's just a personal preference of mine, or maybe a bias. But anyway, next up, an old favorite of mine, one of the OGs, Denis Davidov. Easy Fed tier. Guy was literally a pilot for the state airline. Sorry, I almost missaid some things because I literally just woke up not long ago. But yeah, this guy used to work for the Ukrainian state airline. He literally got a medal from the Ukrainian government for his work in spreading disinformation about the war, especially with his clickbait thumbnails. I mean, what else is there to say about Denny's? His cringeworthy thumbnails, his clickbait titles, his endless fake news. I mean, what else is there to say about Denny's? Now, he does, however, run another YouTube channel called Pilot Blog. It's about, aviation, the airline industry and such. And I'll give Denny's credit where credit is due. I think he is excellent in talking about aviation. I mean, he's literally a retired pilot. And for that reason alone, I will actually sort of ease a bit of the roasting off of him just for this, because, I don't know, I just think he's great in that field. And if he wasn't talking about the Ukraine war and just talking about aviation, I would love the guy even more. I absolutely would. But man spreads fake news. The end. Caspian Report. Grifter. Easy grifter. He's from Azerbaijan. I think he lives in Baku, and he supported the Azerbaijan retaking of Nagorno-Karabakh, which is very controversial in the geopolitical realm. Some pro-RU people were actually torn about supporting Armenia or supporting Azerbaijan. Now, the international community, including Russia, all recognize Nagorno-Karabakh as a part of Azerbaijan, though many Armenians, see Nagorno-Karabakh as part of Armenia. And Nikol Pashinyan did nothing to save Nagorno-Karabakh, nor did he try to annex it. He did absolutely nothing. He sold it out. Caspian reports, but also, by the way, again, he has a complete bias. Just like in last year's video I made. Clearly, pro-Western bias. His videos, though, are well made, but it's clear that he leans towards the West. And he tries to make things look as bad as possible for the Eastern powers, even though I would strongly disagree with him in that regard. But yeah, his videos are well made, but he's a grifter. And kind of a liar, too. Free Kherson. This guy has actually been on and off lately. And for that reason alone, I'm going to give him grifter tier just like last year, because, again, clickbait thumbnails, misleading titles, just like Denny's. But here's the thing. Free Kherson is not as active as he used to be, as I mentioned a moment ago, because Ukraine is currently not winning the war at the moment. They're losing a lot of territory to Russia. Well, I mean, that actually depends on your interpretation of how much territory, they're losing a lot of territory on. But yeah, he's not made a lot of videos as of late. And I feel like he knows that the gravy train is coming to an end. And that's why he's slowing his uploads. He knows things are not looking good, but he's trying to sugarcoat them in the best way imaginable. But yeah, I'm going to keep him grifter tier also because, well, he makes money off of it without shame. No reports. I'll go with grifter. No changes from last year. Spreads fake news on X and Twitter. They're the same thing, by the way. Good times, bad times. Grifter. No changes from last year. Infographic show. Cringy animations. I'm still going to put it in Fed tier. Laser Pig. This guy, man. I cannot stand him and Anarchy. These people, they are just on another level of cringe. But what really cemented it for me was when they were reviewing the recent military parade on Red Square in May 2024 of last month. And just the way that they were commentating over it and deceiving their viewers about like, oh, this shit's pathetic. I mean, Russia had to intentionally keep the parade pathetic due to security concerns and also the fact that people within Russia itself wanted those modern vehicles to be in Ukraine and not on Red Square. Like these guys, and especially that female guest of theirs, they were absolutely cringe. They sounded like Redditors who claim to be like know-it-all, like expert armchair generals. I mean, I seriously lost a lot of brain cells watching that stream. I just couldn't hear listening to these guys like talk and like bash Russia the way they did. They just sounded absolutely childish. They clearly don't know as much as they claim like they do. Like they I'm sorry if I'm fumbling my words right now because these people just cost me a lot of brain cells. They literally did. Stay away from Laser Pig and Anarchy. Block them on Twitter. Don't recommend their channels to YouTube. They are absolutely annoying. And also, yeah, but the main reason why I put Anarchy here is he actually got mad at, I think, one of his local Australian TV stations for actually going into Ukraine and interviewing the Russian side. And he was seriously offended by it. But isn't the point of journalism to explore, like, what both sides think and why they're doing what they're doing? Come on. The people want to know so that they can come up with their own personal conclusions to the situation within Ukraine. And who knows, maybe they might stay pro-Ukraine and not change their minds. Or maybe they might become pro-Russia. Who knows? Leave those people alone. They're just doing their jobs. But also, I also put him in annoying tier because I remember when he talked about his the death of Prigozhin, one of the first things he said, Slava Ukraini. And I was like, dude, shut up. I don't want to hear that shit. And the way he said it was so cringe too. And that's why I'm putting him in annoying tier. I moved him from like NAFO tier to like annoying tier. No, I'll put him in cringe tier. But yeah, Laser Pig is more annoying than he is, but they're both bad. Like, equally bad. Ryan Macbeth. Oh, this is easy. Grifter tier. The guy has not changed. None. Zero. No changes. Absolutely despise this guy. War Monitor 3. Again. No, I'm actually going to change. I'll put him in larper tier. He claims to be know-it-all. Again, this is a problem that most of these accounts share. Like, armchair generals who claim to be experts on Ukraine and also proclaim themselves to be the spreaders of truth, like the messengers from the front. When in reality, they're giving you like a sugar-coated version of what's actually going on. But yeah, War Monitor 3, again, he has not changed his behavior. But I'm moving him to larper tier because he literally believes he's actually doing some good. And also, he looks to make money off of this shit. I could easily put him in grifter tier, but I feel like he's more LARPy now than he used to be. And I remember when he claimed that I'm going to go to Mariupol in 1 year from now after it was captured by Russia. Well, 2 years later, after he made that tweet, Russia still occupies Mariupol, and it's expected that they're probably never going to lose control of that city. Never going to happen. Next, this is a Polish source. These guys are feds. Avoid them. Block them. Euromaidan Press, feds. Peter Zion, neoconservative, warmonger, wants to go to war with China and Iran. Very clueless, very ignorant, arrogant, and is also a boomer. A boomer. That alone spells trouble for me. Grifter. Arthur Rehe. This guy is such a crybaby. This guy was crying when YouTube was demonetizing him and when Patreon banned him. Dude, are you literally that shameless? You're literally that shameless. It literally proves you don't care about the well-being of Ukrainian people. And again, he repeats the same mistake as our buddy Denny's up north. Clickbait, thumbnails, misleading titles. These guys, man, it's hilarious. Now, I was going to put him in LARPer tier because he was actually, he's actually a member of the Estonian military, but because of how he cried about his Patreon getting banned, I'm going to put him in Grifter tier. That really showed off his true colors. Terror Alarm. Now, here's the thing. Terror Alarm is very strange. I'm going to put him in annoying tier, reluctantly, only because I just can't take them seriously. These guys cheered on Taliban, which was very weird. These guys cheered also on, for some reason, I don't know, friggin' Syrian jihadists, like terrorists. And even cheered on Israel too. These guys are very weird. To the point where I don't even know if they're even taking it seriously. They're probably trolls. But yeah. Annoying tier. Ashton. Oh god. Sarah Ashton Cirillo. I used to think that they were a Fed, but now I think they're Grifter. Like, downgraded to Grifter. I put them in Fed tier last year because they were actually working for the Ukrainian government. But I'm demoting them to Grifter because Ashton continues to lie about the situation on the ground. But also, here's the thing. Ashton in recent years has become more psychopathic than they used to be. And they low-key caused the death of Gonzalo Lira. And I even remember in the video when Ashton was proclaiming the capture of Gonzalo Lira, I remember them saying, "There's a reason why you haven't heard from Gonzalo Lira yet. It is because he was captured by the best intelligence service in the world, the SBU." No, I'm not joking. He actually, pardon for the misgendering, they actually said SBU, like ooh, like SBU. What? It's SBU, you dumbass. SBU. You don't say SBU. It's SBU. And also, this dude also called for deaths of Russians like a complete psychopath and said a lot of racist things too. Things got so bad that the Ukrainian government had to suspend Ashton from their job because of their toxic behavior and for their psychopathic post. And for that reason, I'm putting them in Grifter tier. Tendar. Grifter, easy. No changes from last year. I will not say any more. They're very cringe. I hate old people. Except for my grandparents. Always love them. Ukraine matters. George has gotten more cringe as of late. He's literally following the same playbook as Denny's. But still, I gotta put him in Grifter tier because most people who literally, like, I don't know what to say. Anybody who literally does this pattern of putting in, like, clickbaity thumbnails and misleading titles of their videos, that's already a red flag that they are grifters. Big time. And for that reason, Ukraine Matters will remain in grifter tier. I think they were a Fed tier last year, I think. I don't remember. But, yeah, they've gotten more cringe as of late. And this dude's not even from Ukraine. I just found that out. He's actually from Denmark. So he knows just as much as we all do on what's going on in the front. Tadarigami. Now, here's the thing. This dude actually used to be a member of the Ukrainian military. And he's actually improved. He's actually being a little more honest on what's going on the ground now. But, again, because of his military background, I'm going to put them in the larper tier. So virtually no changes in that regard. Bellingcat. Fed. They spread lies about Syrian war and are spreading lies about Ukraine war now. No change. Ukrainian meme forces. Easy. Fed tier. PSYOP. Defmon 3. Annoying. Dude always constantly picks fights with people instead of actually reporting what's actually going on the ground in an accurate fashion. Saint Javelin. God, this is one of the cringiest ones. I'll put them in cringe tier, even though they're grifters. New Voice of Ukraine. Yahoo News really likes to spread their filth around. And for that reason, I'm putting them in Fed tier. I mean, it's obvious why they're reposting New Voice of Ukraine. Quite obvious why. So no change there. The Russian dude. Or should I say the Ukrainian dude. Grifter. Easy. I have no change of opinion on him. He's a liar, a deceiver, and a traitor to his country. Who reminds me of another person below. But you'll know about that very soon, okay? And yeah. Again, he follows the same pattern as Rihi, Freeherson. He also follows the same pattern as Denny's. But I'm putting him in grifter tier because it's obvious what he's doing. And he doesn't care. Ukrainian Pravda. Ukrainian Truth. Fed. Easy. They're also promoted by Yahoo News. Very cringe. Darth Putin KGB. Very normie 2014 account. Just some of the cringiest memes. And also some of the cringiest posts. They parody Vladimir Putin. I'm going to put him in cringe tier. Perone, a former gaming channel turned geopolitical analyst. Very cringe. Grifter. Business Basics. Oh, Russia and China are about to collapse. Nice try, dude. I'm kind of torn here. Grifter, cringe. I think I'm going to go with Grifter here. Starsky. Larper. No, I think he's a Fed just because I think he's actually there. And I think he's part of the Ukrainian military right now. I'll give him a pass and put him in Fed tier. If anything in the Fed tier is sort of reserved for people who not only are actually getting paid, but they're actually getting paid by the government and NGOs. So props to these people in the Fed tier. Kings and Generals. Fed. Easy. No changes. The Enforcer. Look, I wanted to put this guy in grifter tier because, again, he does the same thing, but these lies are just so bad. He even proclaimed Belgrade was being besieged by Russia and said that, again, just like what Business Basics would say, and maybe Denny's, Russia about to collapse. Like, shut up. No one's collapsing. And here's the thing. This guy doesn't really do a lot of videos, but he does a lot of streams. And he said a lot of messed up shit, too. When he compared the death of Racy to the death of Kobe Bryant. Like, it was pretty messed up. I mean, they were similar, but Come on, man. The circumstances are not the same. Cringe tier. Tommy K. Look at this Wojak, like soy jack face. You just can't take him seriously. Again, like Perone, former gaming channel turned analyst. Gonna put him in Grifter tier. Oryx. Now, here's the thing. I actually used to think Oryx was a Fed, but apparently he got denied a job by the Feds themselves. And the original founder of the group has quit, and new people have taken his place to grift in his absence. So, demoted from Fed to Grifter tier. Can't even get a job with the Feds. Combat Arms channel, no change. I will put them in Grifter tier. Wazilla News, are they still up? Hold on, give me a moment, folks. I need to look this up, okay? Wazilla News. Oh yeah, I'm looking up here. 1.62 million subscribers. It's a bot channel with endless fake news, generating some endless lies, because they literally don't care. They're all about making the quick buck. For that reason alone, I'm going to put them in cringe tier, because they're sort of like the Enforcer. They're like on equal par with the Enforcer. They don't care how much they lie. It's all about the money. But also, I don't know, they take the lies to a different level, like the Enforcer did. Igor Shushko. This guy is apparently, he's apparently a race car driver, I think. This guy, I don't know if he's a Fed, a grifter, or, I mean, he could be any of these people. But you know what? I'm going to put him in Fed tier because I do believe he's being paid. Like, the things he says on his account are just so blatantly obvious lies. And yet, a lot of people eat it up. It's hilarious. Adam something. A new addition to the list. God. I used to like this guy, but now I hate him with a fire of 1,000 suns. Again, proclaimed, analyst. Self-proclaimed analyst. And just shits on Russia all the time, instead of trying to be productive about the whole discussion. Grifter tier. Stick to your architect videos, buddy. SK Media. Oh my god, I just saw one of his recent videos, and if you also read his comment section when he replies to virtually every comment that is skeptical of him, the guy is an arrogant, narcissistic douchebag. He's a total piece of trash human being. I don't ever want to talk to him. I don't ever want to literally see his videos in my timeline, rather be on Discord or Twitter. I don't like this guy. Now, I will say kudos to him, though, for actually backing up his talk and actually going on the front to fight for his ancestral homeland, but it doesn't change the fact that he is an absolute asshole who I strongly recommend all of you to avoid. Especially his fanboys, too. And for that reason, I'm putting him in annoying tier. He's a grifter, too, though he will get mad at you, and I think he'll ban you from his comment section permanently from all of his videos if you call him a grifter. But man, just the way he behaves towards pro-RU people is just absolutely immature. He's literally a man-child. I have no respect for people like that. David. This guy is a complete larper. He's cringe and annoying, but there's something about David D, who's just, I don't know, man. He LARPs a lot. And again, another self-proclaimed analyst. All these accounts that you're seeing all share all the common patterns and same problems. And also, he's an old geezer, too. Like, why are you here? Go be with your family or something. History of everything. He's friends with Animarchy and Laserpig. And for that reason, I'm going to put him in cringe tier. Though I will say, again, Laserpig is more annoying than both of them. Combat Veteran reacts. Grifter. This guy is known for his over-the-top thumbnails where he looks so concerned. Oh, no. Wow! Or gets, like, overexcited when something good for Ukraine happens. Like, he's outrageous. Now, I will say, though, I don't think he's a terrible person. But again, he grifts. And also, thank you for your service. Even though you served in very unjustifiable wars. But still, man, I gotta put you in grifter tier because it's obvious you're doing this all for money. I mean, you're cringe too, but you're not really the worst of the bunch, in my opinion. Willie OAM. I used to put this guy in grifter tier or larper, but now this guy has really come around. I am absolutely impressed. This guy has escaped the copium, like, bubble. Just, wow. This is like the equivalent to S tier, by the way. The sober tier. This is like the very first time I'm actually putting a pro-Ukraine account in a very high regard. Willie is great. I highly recommend you check out his videos if you want someone who's pro-Ukraine, but also acknowledges the reality on the ground. Definitely check out Willie OAM's videos. Absolutely. Next up, we got Sergei Sputnikov of Ushanka Show. This guy does not like Russia very much, though he used to like Russia. He is a Soviet-born Ukrainian who speaks Russian, or as I'd like to call them, Russo-Ukrainians. Now, Sergei is a father, a husband, and Soviet diaspora. In fact, after Soviet Union collapsed, he left the old USSR for the United States and has lived in Michigan ever since. He's a Ukrainian patriot, and yeah, he doesn't like Russia very much, but here's the thing. When he's not talking about Ukraine war, Ushanka Show is very good. I highly recommend you check out this guy's videos too. Just like Willie, though I want to warn you, he has a big bias towards Ukraine and really wants the Russians to leave Ukraine. I mean, yeah. And also, he's from Kiev, which is one of the more bigger Russian-speaking cities in all of Ukraine, so that would explain why he speaks Russian, in addition to the Soviet academic system also forcing him and his fellow Ukrainians to speak Russian too. But otherwise, as I said, Sergei is a good person, makes a lot of interesting videos about life in the Soviet Union, like daily life, the culture. I mean, you cannot really go wrong with Sergei as long as he's not talking about Ukraine war and Russia. I think he's a good guy. Intel Crab, this annoying Zoomer, is a grifter. No changes whatsoever. Now, another, addition to the sober tier is a very surprising addition. A guy who I never imagined would get this far, but he has, because, again, he's reporting reality of situation on the ground, and a lot of pro-Ukraine accounts are getting mad at him, including the NAFO guys. I mean, it's gotten really bad between him and those people. Julian Ropke, more infamously known in the geopolitical sector as Jihadi Julian. He was a big anti-Assad guy who just absolutely spread endless copium about the rebels losing the war in Syria. And once that gravy train stopped, he sort of moved on for a while to another thing. But then once Ukraine war showed up, he obviously jumped on the bandwagon once more. Obviously doing all he can for Ukraine like he did for the Syrian rebels. But the recent situation within Ukraine itself has not been looking so good, to the point where Julian is now actually reporting accurate news on the ground, and has even made it clear to people that Ukraine may not and probably will not win the war until they do X and X and X. Like literally going to great extremes, like generally mobilizing more people, getting like, I don't know, 1 million or so weapons and ammunition shells. I mean, Julian has made it clear to people that Ukraine will not decisively win this war. That's no longer going to happen. And for that reason, I'm putting Julian in sober tier, though I will say he's pretty cringe when it comes to most of the things he talks about. Next up, we got William Spanuel. Now, here's the weird thing about William. I used to think that this guy was just some grifter, but actually, you know what? I don't really know, honestly. I used to actually think he was a Fed, and he could be a LARPer too. So yeah, this is going to actually take me a moment to decide. Now, from what I understand, William is a professor in political science at the University of Pittsburgh, and he is a graduate of the University of Rochester in 2015, so he's sort of like new to this whole thing. But again, he suffers from the same problem as many of the YouTubers I just mentioned earlier in the video. Clickbait, misleading thumbnails, everything. And just endlessly copes a lot. And since he's not really in a governmental position, I'm going to put him in the grifter tier. Next up, we got reporting from Ukraine. Zaluzhny's favorite fanboy and simp. Now, for some very weird reason, reporting from Ukraine still uses Zaluzhny like as the guy in his like thumbnails, even though he's not in the Ukrainian military anymore. He literally got fired from Ukraine's MOD for refusing to follow Zelensky's orders because he knew that things were not going well in the war, and he told Zelensky to make some changes, but Zelensky got mad at him, so he literally sent Zaluzhny packing and gone fishing in London. So now he's in exile in Britain as an ambassador to the UK, like for Ukraine. So he's been sent fishing. And also, this guy has like 1 million or so YouTube channels in multiple languages. And when YouTube was threatening to ban his shit, he was crying about it in one of his recent videos 1 or 2 months ago and said, "Hey guys, I'm about to get banned. Please help the channel, like save it. Do something." I mean, he was really crying out for help, and I just was absolutely laughing at the whole situation because it's looking now painfully obvious to me that this guy was no longer a Fed, but just another sad and pathetic grifter who again suffers from the same problems as all of these other pro-Ukraine war channels who spread endless lies and propaganda. Next up is a guy who I also used to like, No Fuckers, or Roman. Now, Roman is someone who I really used to love watching years ago, before the war in Ukraine. But now he just spreads endless, like, propaganda. Like, I mean, the guy even, like, was a huge fanboy for Alexei Navalny, a Russian opposition figure who wasn't really that relevant anyway. The West tries to make him more relevant than he really was. But yeah, and Navalny was not really that moderate, by the way. He was not even that liberal. Apparently, he was a huge far-right nationalist. And for all I know, I feel like he would have been... I think he would have been just as bad as Vladimir Putin, if not worse, had he actually taken over Russia and ruled it with an iron fist. But we'll never know because the guy is now dead. He died earlier this year in 2024, around the same time as Gonzalo Lira. But yeah, again, he suffers from the same problems as other pro-Ukraine YouTubers. And also, this guy is getting cucked left and right. You got Ukrainians who shit on him for being Russian alone, especially Europeans who don't like Russians. You got Russians that are calling him a traitor to the country. I mean, this guy is a sad cuck now. And it's really sad to see because he used to be someone who I could actually respect. But it's clear that he hates his own country. He's ashamed of being Russian. And, I mean, what more is there else to say? He's very delusional about what Russia is and what it should be. He's clearly spoiled by the first, like, by the years of Russia before the whole Euromaidan thingy in Ukraine. It really disillusioned him, and I feel bad for him in that regard, but for that reason alone, I'm going to put him in cringe tier. I feel bad for you, bud, but you need to swallow your pride and, I don't know, try to learn how to love yourself again. He's clearly ashamed of being Russian. I can clearly tell. Feels bad, bro. Next up, we got Simon from Royal Graphics and Biographics. He suffers from the same problems as these guys in the Fed tier. Well, not just Grifter tier, but actually from the Fed tier. And because of how far extensive War Graphics is, along with the team of writers that he has writing the videos for him, I'm very suspicious of who actually pays Simon to do this stuff. And because of that, I'm putting him in Fed tier. J in Kiev, for Kiev. This guy, again, I don't like him, but he actually is in Kiev at the moment, so I have to respect that. But because of his endless copium and lies that he just spreads all the time on X and Twitter, and whenever people post about like Russian territorial gains, or whenever Ukrainians are not doing so hot on the ground, and whenever things are not going well for them in the Western political space, he gets absolutely like unbearable to hear to, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna put him in cringe tier. Pekka. This is the guy responsible for probably one of the biggest doxing operations in recent memory. Pekka is an alleged pedophile. He's an alleged neo-Nazi too, though he tries to deny that he is, even though there's a lot of evidence he did. He was just that. He apparently jerked off at Auschwitz in Poland. There's even allegations of him running a lot of like porn sites too. I mean, there's a lot of problems with this guy, and I don't understand why a lot of NAFO/Ukraine fanboys look up to him. He's not a good person. He's a complete piece of trash human being who doxes people for simply having a different opinion. And who cares if pro-Russian people are spreading fake news? It's called the block button. And I do the same thing with Pekka. If I see people on Twitter that I don't like, who I think are spreading fake news, the easiest solution to deal with these people is blocking them, and that's it. Just block them. Because they're always going to end up on your timeline anyway. I mean, it's literally their job to literally influence the info space. And to Ukraine's credit, they have been winning on that front for most of the war, even though they're losing their grip on it right now. Sort of like Israel. Next up, we got Anna from Ukraine. Now, Anna is Ukrainian, but again, she's like a female version of Denny's, though I don't see any medals from the Ukrainian government. But yeah, again, clickbaity thumbnails, misleading titles, and just over-exaggerated facial expressions to when something good happens for Ukraine, or if they're proud in spreading fake news. Benkov Battlegrounds. I was going to put him in Grifter tier, but I'm going to put him in larper tier instead. You see, the problem with Benkov is that, I don't know, I feel like he sort of like, he's been doing this thing actually for years, even before the Russo-Ukrainian War. He predicted, for instance, the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan in like 2020, and he predicted that the war would end in a stalemate because I feel like he judged Azerbaijan's military capabilities too much by their poor performance in the late 80s to the early 90s. But he didn't take into account of the upgrades that they have made that have came thanks to both Turkey and Israel. And, of course, Russia, too, for giving them modern weaponry. But yeah, Benkov was wrong on that. He's so far wrong on Ukraine. And I don't know, I also feel like he's going to be wrong on Taiwan too. I do think his videos are well made, and I do think he's a pretty good content creator, but I just think he gets a lot of things wrong, and I don't think he is the smart guy that he claims to be. If anything, he's more on my level. He just makes money. I don't. Task and purpose. I actually respect Chris. I respect him so much. Former member of our military, served in Afghanistan, I think. He's obviously pro-Ukraine, pro-NATO, but again, I respect the guy. He's honest about what goes on the ground. Definitely check out Task and Purpose. Absolutely. Preston Stewart. I used to not like this guy for a while. I heard he has gotten better, but I'm still going to put him in grifter tier because it's looking very clear to me nowadays that he seems more focused on the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza than on the Russo-Ukrainian war. And I honestly think that it is a smarter thing to do because Russo-Ukrainian war doesn't have as much going on nowadays, at least in the big, grand, scheme of things. I mean, I'll give the guy credit where credit is due. Again, he made his money. He's definitely cracked the YouTube algorithm. I mean, I cannot really fault him too much for that. Don't blame the player, blame the game. But yeah, I feel like, he's a grifter. He knows it. I know it. You all know it. But yeah, I don't think he's as bad as he used to be. And also, I wanted to make some additional complaints too about the other guys before we get to our final addition to the tier list. It's Kings and Generals. One thing I gotta say about them is that they make videos on certain battles in Ukraine way too early. For example, they've already regarded the whole Kharkiv offensive in northeastern Ukraine as a failure by Russia, when in reality this offensive so far smells more like a diversion / feint, or just some small-scale limited operation that has no intention of being anything too big. And besides, the Russians didn't even deploy that many troops into Kharkiv. They only deployed only a few thousand or so. I bet that number has definitely grown significantly by now because Ukrainians have been trying to retake the Volchansk salient and the Lipsy salient for weeks now, but they have been unable to do so. So I think the manpower ratio there is evening up slowly for both Russia and Ukraine, even though Ukraine still has more men over there. But yeah, I feel like they always make their videos way too early. And I do genuinely believe it's part of the whole PSYOP campaign to convince people Ukraine's winning the war, when in reality, they're so far losing it. And also, Laserpig, he defends one of the worst performing tanks in the whole war, which is the Challenger. I mean, come on. That tank is a piece of trash. And there's a reason why you don't see them anymore. In fact, I think they failed worse than the Abrams did. Much worse, even though the Abrams is getting clapped left and right right now in Ukraine. Worse than even the Leopard. But now this leaves us to our final individual. This is Austria Intel. I'm actually going to plan on maybe calling them out in future YouTube shorts. But yeah, Austria Intel. When you see, I was introduced to this character when they posted about literally, oh, people think Russia is winning. Look at the map. They haven't gained that much. It's so little. Dude, you literally have a profile picture of an AI girl. That's very LARPy and very creepy. And also, it doesn't help that this guy has also, I don't know, I feel like he downplays the Ukrainian problems way too much. In fact, this guy is so annoying that other pro-Ukraine accounts, including Def Monthry have actually called this guy out. And I even know another pro-Ukraine guy. I think he's from the Oceania region of I don't know, of the Pacific Ocean, either Australia or New Zealand, and he got blocked by Austria Intel too for or no, I didn't mean to say too. Sorry about that. But he got blocked by Austria Intel for just spreading just the facts on the ground, and Austria Intel didn't like that, and he blocked him. Yeah. Just for being honest about what's going on in Ukraine. And also, it doesn't help that, I'm trying to think about this, straight here. It also doesn't help that Austria Intel also tends to be very, I don't know, thin-skinned whenever, you actually do call them out directly, even if it's, genuine, criticism. And also, one of my favorite copes is that, let's see here. I'm actually reading this right now. They said, and I quote, that distance is twice the depth that Russians have managed to advance on the Eastern Front since they started their offensive in October. And yes, that includes the Avdiivka salient. Oh my God. And they even said, in the unlikely scenario that Russia manages to take the entirety of the Donbas minus Kharkiv under its control in 5 to 6 years. Wait, 5 to 6 years? I think we're getting a little closer than that. It's happening, by the way. But yeah, Defmon apparently was accused of doxing Austria Intel, which is hilarious. It sucks that they got doxxed, but dude, this is what happens when you spread too much copium. You're going to end up, absolutely overdosing on that shit. You will. But yeah, Austria Intel might be, in my opinion, the worst possible pro-UA account, just by the AI profile pic alone. And again, even some people who I know that are pro-Ukraine on Discord even think that this guy is a loser and a complete lying prick. I don't know what else to say other than that. But anyway, I'm going to put them in the annoying tier for just their complete recklessness. And that will be it. So yeah, I'm sorry if the video took nearly 1 hour to do, but I thought it was worth it. I had a fun time doing it as well. Tell me in the comment section below what you think of all of the people who I put in the tier list. And tell me in, where would you put them? In sober, in fed, grifter, larper, cringe, NAFO, or annoying tier. Tell me. I really want to know your guys', I really want to know what you all, think of, where they all belong and why you think they should be there. But yeah. So anyway, I just got back from New York. I hope all of you have been having a great week since I've been absent since that time. And yeah, tomorrow or in the next 2 days, I will get back to doing my usual updates again on the situation in Ukraine. And I'll see you all next time. So take care, have a great day, and peace out. Stay safe.